Always.
So what are some of the recent things you need to do for your buyers to get them under contract? So Kim, tell me all your secrets. I'm going to be taking notes.
Oh my goodness.
Or the ones
Okay.
that you're willing to share. Why don't you just kind of tell us about some of your recent success stories with buyers?
Well, it's pretty interesting, isn't it? I feel that every year I come up with a sheet of like tips of what it could take to get under contract. I don't know if you do something similar, but then we talk through it with the clients and we say, you know, you might need to release earnest money, or you may need to look at your financing and how you can remove that contingency or change something, you know, to make the contract stronger. And so not every buyer can jump in with both feet first, and that's okay. So really it's about just working with them with what they're comfortable with.
Do you find it's a process sometimes? You know, you make that first offer and, you know, there are, you know, like you said, a list of things that maybe levers you can push or pull.
Absolutely.
And then as it goes on and however many offers they have to write,
yes.
those may change over time. And their wants and needs and maybe what they're willing to escalate to.
Absolutely. And they change sometimes their parameters based on, you know, what's happening to them in the market. And so the exciting part is it's kind of like we're a cheerleader in many ways, because we are constantly on the side going, it's okay, we're going to do this. And if you don't win, it's all right. We're going to find the perfect thing.
That's a great analogy. I've really found in my business that as disappointing sometimes as the process is, you know, a buyer loses a house. They really thought it was the one. Every time, I can't think of a time it hasn't happened that there was a better house or a better price or better features, whatever the thing was, that when it all came together, the house they end up with is the one that they were meant to end up with, even though sometimes along the way there's a little bit of heartache or a little bit of a roller coaster.
I totally agree. And so that's the part about being experienced, right? Because we kind of know what we're telling them is the actual truth.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right? Instead of just saying, oh, don't worry.
Don't worry. Have faith.
Have faith. But it is absolutely true. I find the same. And sometimes, you know, situations seem very, very wild. And I think, oh my goodness, I know I'll do it, but I just don't know how long it will take us.
Yes. Yes.
So I know I was working in the vintage market in Seattle, which is quite, you know, hot.
Yeah.
And literally you would get a 15-minute showing appointment
because
that's how many people were through in a weekend. They might see 150 or 200 people in 4 days. And so, you know, that's a pretty tough market to compete in. So we just, you know, keep at it and going, and then figure out how to draft the offer and what the buyers are comfortable with. Whether it's releasing earnest money or offering the seller a rent back, finding out what the seller's needs are, or why are they moving? Is there something we can do as a buyer to help them out?
Those are such great tips, because sometimes it's the non-money part that's motivating a client. You know, right? They're contingent on another house, and that seller needs to move and wants it a sure thing.
Right.
Or you love the vintage feel of it, and you're not a developer who's going to tear down their house. Some people are very emotionally attached to their house. It's not just about the highest offer.
Yes. I mean, I can't believe that I've been so fortunate to be inside homes that are 100 or 130 years old. It's just incredible to think of, you know, who's lived there and what's taken place.
The memories.
And so one of the things which we have to be very cautious of, and tell me what you think about this, but many times I will do a buyer love letter.
I love my love letters. You do have to be cautious of fair housing violations, and there are things we want to guide around. But sellers often want to know more about the buyer, and there's that emotional piece around it that you can't really quantify. And not all sellers are like that. I have plenty of sellers who will say, nope, I don't want to see any of the letters. And sometimes those letters make the decision, even if, again, financially or term-wise, you weren't the highest or strongest.
Right. Absolutely. And that's the part when I tell them to draft it, I'm like, oh, please, keep as much of yourself out of it as you can, but talk about how much you love the house and how it made you feel and just
the features and the neighborhood and you're walking your kids to the park. Yeah.
Yep. Yep. So, we kind of went through a period a couple years ago where we really kind of, held back on using them. And now I feel like, we do see them a little bit more again. So,
and again, I think there's this full circle of having to use the lens, the fair housing lens to make sure they're appropriate. And then at the end of the day, it's up to the listing agent if they're going to present those and ultimately the seller if they want to see them. But they are a tool. They're a tool like, the addendums and the contingencies and, again, these non-financial things. So what do you